Back on the Marching to Madness College Basketball Zoomcast podcast, we have Coach Johnny Dawkins from the UCF Knights. The scenario with the Knights right now is really interesting because, we always talk roster, Coach, but you're going to have your top 8 scorers back from a year ago, and I'm not sure anybody else in the country can say that.
We're fortunate. I think our culture is designed where these guys, felt it was a good decision and good opportunity for them to return. I felt the way the season went last year, being a COVID year, I think our guys really wanted to come back and do that year over again together. And they made a commitment and they stuck to it. They said it at the end of the season. And then you look around, start of this new year, they all did come back. So they all stuck with their word and wanted to be a part of this season's team.
Yeah, and I'm just curious, do you remember having this much of a veteran presence, even back at Stanford or here at UCF?
It's like, what type of presence? I'm sorry?
A veteran presence like this?
Oh, no, absolutely. This is probably one of the more veteran teams I've had. I've had a few. I had one at Stanford I can think of. I had one as well here a few years ago that I can think of with Taco's year, Taco, my son Aubrey, BJ, Chad, all those guys were upperclassmen like this. So we've had a few seasons where guys have been here in their senior year and we've had a lot of experience.
Yeah, the get old and stay old philosophy works. We've seen that, across college basketball here for several years. So that's a great thing. It's going to be a great storyline, I think, to watch. I'm just curious. Now, you go into summer workouts and your kids are coming back in there. And of course, your assistant coaches and you, with all the attrition we've had in this country across the boards in the past year and a half and really across the globe, can you talk about the reconnecting of the team and the emotions and maybe the dynamics that do not have anything to do with basketball?
Well, absolutely. You have a lot going on, and a lot of moving parts right now in our sport. And so, what you're trying to do is trying to keep everybody on the same page, understanding what's the most important. And what's most important is your team and your teammates. I mean, that's your family. And so we try to base all of our decisions off of that. We try to have our players understand the value of basing their decisions off of our team, because so many things are pulling at them nowadays with the new rules, new legislation. And so you want to make sure they understand that's great to have those opportunities, but always make sure that you understand how you're representing your team, how you represent your program and your family are the most important with all those decisions that are being made. And if you make them with those things in mind, I think you typically will make a good decision no matter what you choose to do.
Now, as we look at X's and O's and experience, how deep have you been able to get into maybe the playbook? Are you going to be at another level there with what you do offensively and defensively?
Well, no, we're right now, we're just working on skill development and so forth with our guys. We're not really working on, how many sets we're running and what we're doing, everything defensively. We're just really working on continuing to help them grow as individual players, trying to work on their skill. And, some of the things, of course, have to do with us defensively and what we're doing offensively. But it's more of a focus on the individual player, continue to develop, with some team concepts in mind, but nothing where we're staunch at that until we start official practice on the 30th of September.
Well, you've got a really cool point guard coming back there, Darius Perry. I think it'll be his 5th year on the point, and he 14.7 points per game. He shot 38.7 from 3. The versatility, though, if you look at it down his stats now, he can get involved in all facets of the game.
No, he is. He's versatile. He makes a lot of plays. You can play him on the ball and off the ball. He's capable of playing either position, and that really helps us because now you can move him around when you have some roster changes. Defensively, he really loves to get after it and create energy defensively. Offensively, he rebounds the ball, well defensively. Offensively, he'll go in there if he's off the ball and rebound it. He's very deceiving. He, like you say, is a bit of a stat stuffer. Still he'll make plays, across the board. I like to see players when I look at their stat line. There's something in almost all the boxes except turnovers.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Well, Brandon Mahan's a guy, these 3rd-team All-American Athletic Conference last year, him and Darin Green Jr., it's 3 consistent 3-ball threats there on the perimeter. what kind of dynamics can you get into with those guys with that much firepower?
Well, I mean, with the ability to shoot the ball, the way those three guys are capable of, it just really helps our spacing. I
Mhm.
mean, we can space real well because all those guys are a threat behind the line. And we utilize that. We utilize that as a way to kind of run our offense, to have those guys, positioned where, people have to guard those guys no matter where they are. And that just really, I think, helps open up other opportunities for the rest of our team as they start to play around these guys when they're, on the court with these guys. They can play to their strengths with these guys, making sure that they can continue to keep the floor spread.
Isaiah Adams, I thought was an interesting player last year. He was second in the American in scoring, in the freshman scoring at 9.9 per game. He declared for the NBA draft and returned. I was curious about his perception of what he learned, maybe from the association.
Well, I'm sure he got really good feedback as to what he needs to do to get better. I mean, I'm sure it's all about what he needs to get better to play at that level. And that doesn't necessarily apply to what we do here. So for him, I think just getting some feedback was good, reassuring to him what he needed to work on as he continues to try to move forward. But, for us, he understands the things that we have him doing are all things like they were last year that will enhance his visibility, will help our team, of course, be successful. But in the long run, it will help him, make the jump to the next level when that time is appropriate.
Yeah, and of course C.J. Walker, he tied Brandon for your rebounding leader last year. Talk a little bit about his off season and where maybe he's expanded his game.
Well, CJ is continuing to improve. I mean, he had a solid year for us as a sophomore last year, but he has a huge upside. I mean, he's probably has some of the most potential of any player on our team. He's gotten better shooting the basketball. He's gotten more consistent on the perimeter shooting the ball. I think he's gotten better driving the basketball. He's stronger when he goes to the basket now, finishing through contact. So these are the areas that he wanted to work on and that we knew he needed to improve on to be successful, for us, and like I said, successful beyond. So I think he's definitely an improved player. You can tell he put a lot of work in the summer, and I'm excited for him.
Yeah, I thought he was, an exciting looking player when I saw you guys last year. Just his size, and then he had a lot of will. I thought when he was on the floor.
He does, he really competes, on
Yeah.
both ends. I want to say he led our league in shot blocks, or he was right up toward the top of it. So that's pretty impressive in our league to do that. You have some good athletes, some guys that make a lot of plays around the basket. And for him to lead in that category, be right there amongst the top of the leaders, says a lot about his ability, not just offensively, like I mentioned before, but how he can impact the game defensively.
You got a pair of interesting recruits here. They're three-star players, Darius Johnson and Xavier Rhodes. Talk about a little bit about what the fans will see, and then maybe what you were addressing, in recruiting these kids.
Well, of course, at the PG spot, we wanted to bring in a true point guard, and that was Darius Johnson. We had Darius Perry, who's a combo guard. He plays the one. He can play both positions. Tony Johnson also is a player that can play both positions. But we wanted to bring someone who was a point guard, and so he fits that mold really well. He sees the floor very well. He's strong. He's a physical guard. Capable three-point shooter, and like I said, and he's tenacity. He has a lot of tenacity defensively. So I thought he'd be a good guy for us to be able to obtain. He also is a guy that can be a good leader. He's shown already some leadership qualities, even as a freshman. So excited about his future here in our program. And then Xavier Rhodes is more of, just more of a five-man who can step outside and knock down a shot. Still continuing to work in the weight room, got to get bigger and stronger, but plays hard, understands the game, plays the right way, and his best basketball is ahead of him as he continues to grow and develop.
When you look at last season, just going back, was one of the big points of emphasis you wanted to bring about, I guess, in the summer and coming into fall practice, maybe forcing more turnovers and creating more steals, because at the end of the day, you're probably going to get 3-on-2 fast break, shoot maybe layups or uncontested threes in transition.
No, absolutely. We think we got to become more active defensively. I
Mhm.
think our defense is usually fairly sound. You know,
Yeah.
we our identity is built on that, but we know we got some areas where we can clean up, where we can be a little more aggressive, a little more active with our hands to make more plays. Those are some things that we've been emphasizing with our guys, so that maybe we can generate a little more steals to get out in the open court a little more.
I was curious about your thoughts now on the NIL. I'm tickled to death to see these kids get the opportunity now to go make some money since, everything's built around them. And over the last group that weren't, making anything off their talent. So talk a little bit about how you think this will affect maybe college basketball more than any other sport.
Well, I think it's definitely going to have a
Sorry.
positive impact, for these young people to have an opportunity to, take their own name, image, and likeness, and to be able to earn income off of it. I mean, it's their name, it's their image, their likeness. So
Yeah.
it makes sense to me that that's something that they should be able to do. And I think some kids will really benefit from it. I mean, as I've read a few of the articles already over this last month and a half or so, I've seen a number of kids that have been able to really, generate significant revenue for themselves and their families with those opportunities. And so I'm never going to begrudge a young person for that, And so I would like to see them, make sure that, whatever they choose to do, they do it where they represent them and their family at the highest level. But other than those things, I think it's a good possibility these kids have an opportunity to achieve some things in college that I know I didn't get a chance to achieve as a student athlete myself. So, I'm happy for those kids.
I wanted to just ask you a second about the NBA. I think it's the healthiest it's ever been. Uh, the Bucks against the Suns. This was two teams that were built kind of from the ground up. There wasn't like a ton of players trying to build a super team. As you build chemistry in your program, I'm just curious, maybe if you think maybe that may turn back to a way of the future now in the NBA.
No, you're absolutely right. Both of those teams, they built through the draft, really. I
Yeah.
mean, they didn't really build through too much through free agency. I think Phoenix did a little bit by getting Chris Paul was a big addition because he brought a veteran point guard in there, someone to lead and show them the way. But, it wasn't as if he was in the prime of his life when they took him. They got him, probably in his mid-30s. So
Sure.
I think both of them did an amazing job. I think management in both of those organizations deserve a round of applause for what they did. And I think some other teams will look at that as kind of a blueprint for what they may be able to do. I think a team you're seeing similar to that right now is Atlanta. They seem to be doing something similar to that, and they seem to be, heading in a positive direction as well. So it's something to look at, and I think it's a positive thing. And like I said, the object is to win, and to win at the highest level. And so you as an organization and as players, you have to find out what's the best for your organization, your program, your team, and then you go in that direction. And I think a lot of teams are making that commitment right now that you just said, and it's only going to get more healthy because they've seen these teams have success now.
Last thing, Coach. Obviously, Coach Mike Krzyzewski, his last season is he'll be retiring at Duke. At the end of the year. I was just curious to get your thoughts on, when you heard about his retirement, and then, just talk a little bit. I think about going forward for Coach K. What do you think might be there for
Well, I was excited to hear about
him?
his retirement from the standpoint. I knew it was something that he must have been ready to do. And
Mhm.
so if he was excited about it and ready for that time to come, then I'm happy for him. I mean, no one's earned it any more than he has. I mean, he's had an amazing career. The numbers speak for themselves. And if he felt it was ready, he was ready, then I'm excited for him. So I'm just trying to figure out what to get him for a retirement present. But the other thing is that, I think, what he has in store for him, hopefully he'll stay around the game in some capacity. I
Yeah.
think a lot of these coaches that retire, I think could serve us, better by staying around some and getting involved in committees and getting involved with different organizations to continue to guard our game. I think,
Mhm.
who better than someone who's been in it for so long, have seen all the different things that have come and gone in our game. Who's better from the standpoint that there's no agenda. They're not coaching, so they have no agenda other than
Yeah.
seeing the game, thrive. And so I think trying to find ways to have those coaches, Coach K is an example, Roy Williams or Gary Williams, to have those guys that are on the tip of my tongue, just have those guys involved in some capacity can only help our game. And so hopefully, they just don't, go away and take all that knowledge and wisdom with them.
Coach Johnny Dawkins over at UCF, a really good, really fun place to come watch a ball game. Great athletes, a great conference. Coach, I can't wait to get back up there and see you all play there in the pre-conference.
No, absolutely. We're looking forward to having you back up here. We're very excited about getting started. I mean, our league is very tough, as you know. I mean, they have a lot of really good teams. And so we're excited about the start of the season. And now, like I said, post-COVID, so that means fans can be in the stands again. And I think we all understand that the game is better when we have our fans participating. This game was made for that. And so getting everybody back out there is going to be exciting, and look forward to seeing you.